That mountain, you would have been looking at least from where we were standing 600 feet up to the peak instead of 600 feet down, so that they took over 1,000 feet off of Caford Mountain and made a pit where a mountain used to be.
And where's all the stuff that was on the mountain?
It was pushed out to the hollers. So you're taking something that's a peak, a pyramid, and you're flattening it, and you're pushing stuff over the side, so the base gets wider and wider. So you're not really seeing the base of those mountains anymore. They're being covered. All the hollers are being filled, and then at the end you just see this big wall where a holler used to be. If you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't really notice it was missing.
Mike Roselle was arrested 2 years ago for putting a huge banner across Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. It was to protest acid rain. It landed Roselle in jail for 4 months. But for anybody truly committed to radical environmentalism, jail is not an unfamiliar place.
Now, you're not afraid to go to jail, are you?
Certainly not.
And you've done it?
You bet. I spent 4 months in jail last year, and that was probably the 15th time in the last 10 years that I've been in jail for my actions.
Roselle's San Francisco office is also the home now of the Rainforest Action Network. That's a group fighting timber cutting all over the world.
You know, when I started working on forests, really all the forest campaigners in the U.S. could fit in this kitchen back in the mid-'70s, late '70s. But, you know, by the time Katrina hit, it was a small industry, you know, probably over $1 billion a year industry. There wasn't anyone working on coal and climate. There wasn't anyone. And there was some writers, but you know, there was no organizations that had campaigns. They didn't have positions. And when I looked at climate change, it seemed to me that, you know, the worst part is the coal burning. And most of the carbon we have in the air now came from, you know, historic coal burning, all the carbon in the ocean. The oil came into play later. There's a lot of that being burned now, but coal is still the #1 source of CO2. So that seems to me you go after that. And mountaintop removal coal mining is the worst kind of coal mining.
Miners shear off a mountain peak, strip away the trees and topsoil, then blast the rock to get at the coal.
It has already destroyed hundreds of mountains and streams forever.
And entire communities have been forced to relocate when the mining companies buy up the land.
What's left over is a couple of things. One is the stuff that falls to the bottom of the bath, and that's the slurry and sludge. And then there's the liquid waste. So that is eventually is too dirty to use, so they pump that up behind the dam where all the fill is. And there's these, you know, 80, 90 acre sludge ponds scattered all over Appalachia, where they just dump it and then let it dry out a little bit more, and then they add another layer, and then they add another layer, and then they bring up the dam, and then they add another layer. So all this real toxic stuff is behind those dams, and it's just layered and goes all the way down to the bottom. So that's how they dispose of the most, you know, odious of the wastes. And then when they finally fill it up, then they'll put the gravel top over the top of it. But you can still see a lot of them up here. One of them has 8 billion gallons of sludge behind it. And that's the one right by the Marsh Fork, by the old Marsh Fork Elementary School, the Shoemake Dam. When I first got involved, I was asked, you know, they thought a campaign like Redwood Summer in California, where we had, you know, thousands of people come and participate in civil disobedience, would give us the kind of visibility that would, you know, get people to start demanding an end to this. But the key point is confrontation, and that if you're going to have a national campaign, you need a local group that's really truly engaged in the struggle, or otherwise there's nothing to ally with. You know, you got to have a force on the ground here fighting it. You can't fight it from outside. But the people here can't win it by themselves. So the civil disobedience, it creates that kind of conflict that allows the media to truly cover the issue. If you look at the history of our actions, there's been tremendous reaction against us. You know, every time we've done civil disobedience, there's been, you know, waves of violence. There's been lawsuits, you know, criminal charges, high bail. This allows the media to cover the struggle. We need the national pressure. We need the congressional leaders, the senators from other states, and, you know, the states that benefit from mountaintop removal, the ones that have coal burners sitting right outside their cities. They need to get involved in this. And I think slowly they are, but I mean, certainly more than it was 10 years ago when we started the campaign. A lot more people know about it. We do have a lot more allies, and there's a lot more pressure on the industry. But we're not in the end game yet. You know, this is still quite a struggle ahead of us.